I think it's also important to note as I work through answering these questions and navigating the world of Chinese medicine and acupuncture. The one thing that I want to come through within this is I definitely don't want it to feel like we are at odds with the different styles. Ultimately, this is not really about TCM versus five element versus classical. And there's Korean and there's Japanese and there's all these different modalities and branches within what we do. I think when you find practitioners that you really connect with, ultimately it's not going to matter what style they are practicing. And again, our goal in that is to help the patient in front of us. We're just using our own basis, knowledge, expertise, field of study in order to do that work. So none of these are more right nor wrong. I chose to practice five element for my own reasons, and I believe that it is the most effective way to help patients. I have, in my decade of practice, I have definitely dabbled with the different TCM skills that I've learned and studied and used them in the clinical setting. And the thing that I always come back to is my five element roots. We also have, and I say we, Dr. James and I often dabble in the same studies outside of our base training. We did our master's degree at the Academy for Five Element Acupuncture in Gainesville, Florida. So our base of our education is in classical five element acupuncture, but we also both received our doctorates at Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. And so that also contributed to lenses that we have within our clinical practice. And as we've done continuing education of our own, many of our teachers that we choose to study with are trained and well-versed in even more classical approaches that are not five element theory, but classical Chinese medicine, Taoist philosophies, and different things. So we are in a place now where we can say we as practitioners, both independently and collectively as a clinic, we have our own way that we show up with patients, right? We are not purists in any form to five element theory. It is also just a piece of the whole. Classical is a piece of the whole. TCM is a piece of the whole. And there's a lot to learn from a lot of different angles. And we develop our own way of practice and how we show up with patients. And it's part of why we are so excited this year to be stepping into teaching and mentoring. And we just want to share our lens, right? And it's just another perspective. It's another opinion and it's another thought process. And it is us passing forward what we have found to be useful, helpful, and ultimately at the end of the day, it's just another opinion in the room. So as we get into these conversations, and hopefully if you've watched the earlier videos, as you get to this one, this is not a pure advocacy for five element acupuncture. It is not a anti-TCM posts. I will continue to share a little bit more of my story maybe in the coming days, because like I mentioned, I had really good experiences with TCM. But there are reasons why I chose five element as my foundation for my clinical practice. And we also get a little rebellious in our own practice and go off script and have things that we have found to be very effective. So ultimately, what I would love for our page and our message to be is for Chinese medicine and acupuncture as a whole, and not feel like it is one versus the other and one's better than another, all that good stuff. So if you have more questions, feel free to shoot them over and we'll keep the conversation going.